Okay, Dr. Mindy here, and I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is hormones. And I want to talk specifically about what the ketogenic diet and fasting can do to impact your hormones. So right off the bat, I want to say, and I know many of you are experiencing this, that if you're new to the keto diet, you're new to fasting, you are in for a really pleasant surprise. There is a ton of benefit for one specific hormone called insulin. Hopefully you already know what insulin is, but if you want to regulate insulin, going after it from a ketogenic perspective and a fasting perspective, I have never seen such a beneficial and quick tool. So please make sure you're understanding those principles because they can have such an impact on your insulin levels. But there are two other major hormones that are going to impact estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And that's cortisol and oxytocin. So two of the best books that I've read in the last year on hormone balancing, one is called The Rushing Woman Syndrome by Dr. Libby Weaver. Please get that book. It will talk, she talks so much about how you can eat right, you can exercise right, but if you don't balance cortisol, you're never gonna balance your sex hormones. So make sure you go and read that book. The second book, and I just did a Resetter TV on this, so go check out my second episode of Resetter TV. The second game-changing book is called The Hormone Fix by Dr. Annika. And we break down another major hormone that a lot of you are not thinking about, that is super fun to build in your body, that has an impact on basically every single hormone in your body. And that hormone is oxytocin. So I like to simplify things, so let me step this out for you. What we're seeing in the typical woman today is cortisol is really high. Cortisol is high from stress, okay? And all types of stress, physical, emotional, and chemical. We're also seeing a massive imbalance in sex hormones because insulin is really high. And insulin's high because of diet. So we can solve our insulin problem and balance our insulin by keto and fasting. But what do we do with cortisol? So when cortisol is high, it makes progesterone go low. Progesterone's your anti-anxiety hormone. It's what calms you. It's also the hormone that makes the uterus shed. So those of you that are getting spotting and your periods are really irregular, or maybe you're infertile, that you need to raise progesterone. Well, it's very difficult to raise progesterone if cortisol is high. So we've got to find some strategies for lowering cortisol. So two of my favorite strategies for lowering cortisol, up until Dr. Anna's interview and her book, my favorite strategy for lowering cortisol is movement. Cortisol was meant to make you move. It was meant to make you run from a bear, or run from a tiger. But what's happening to so many of you is that you're sitting at your desks, you're sitting in your home, you're super stressed, and you're not utilizing that cortisol. So the first thing is go move, and you don't have to get yourself on a treadmill for hours and hours. You can do something as simple as just go out and walk. Just get the body moving so that you utilize that cortisol. And by the way, the time for most of you to move is in the morning. That's when cortisol is the highest. So get moving with that. But here's a really cool twist to this hormonal picture. Is that one of the best ways to raise cortisol is to raise something called, or to lower cortisol is to raise something called oxytocin. So we tend to think of oxytocin, or at least for me, is that it's the bonding hormone. It's the hormone we feel when we look at our children. I know when I was nursing my children when they were younger, it was like there was all this talk about how great you feel because oxytocin gets released. We know oxytocin gets released when you have sex, but our kids grow up, we can't go around having sex all the time. So what are some other strategies you can use to raise oxytocin? And that's what I want to share with you, because when you can manipulate, and I say that in a positive way, when you can manipulate oxytocin and really bring it up, you're going to bring cortisol down. You're going to start to raise progesterone, When progesterone goes up, you're going to lower estrogen, and you're going to start to raise testosterone, and boom, all your hormones are going to come in balance from regulating one really fun hormone. So oxytocin, what can you do? Okay, I went searching because I wanted to know, I love the science. I want to know all the things that I do in a day that will bring oxytocin up. So let me just start to list these out for you. The first thing, how many of you get up in the morning and you think of all your have-tos? You think of, I got to do this, I got to do that, and you're immediately putting yourself in a stressed mind and you're raising cortisol. Okay, what if you spend a few moments when you first get up, you think of all the things you did the day before that brought you joy, and you think of all the things you're going to do in that day that will bring you joy. So Dr. Sonia, who is one of the holistic docs that I do my Women in Wellness podcast with, is the queen of self-care. And she told me that one of the things she does is create a joy list. Every day she gets up and she specifically has intention around, what am I going to do today that's going to bring me joy? So start off by looking for opportunities to engage in joyful activities. Okay, second thing, when's the last time you laughed? When's the last time you laughed so hard you peed your pants? Like, we want you in those kind of environments. How do we put you into laughter? If you're not a funny person, if you don't hang out with funny people, how about either go find some, or there are a lot of great movies out there. There's great shows that'll make you laugh. You know, I'm not a fan of putting you in front of the TV, but if you can go watch a movie and you can laugh, or you can go hang out with a funny friend and laugh, and you get a burst of oxytocin, and now it starts to balance all these hormones, I'm a fan of that. So look for laughter. Be playful. If you have little kids, you know this, that when you hang around little kids and you get into their energy, that they're so playful, it's just contagious. So how do you look at, there's two ways you can look at your activities in the day. You can look at them as these incredible have-tos that are just a struggle for you to go through, or you can look at, how can I have a playful heart about this? A perfect example of this is that I look at is the rain. When my kids were little, I remember they just wanted to go out in the rain all the time, and my adult brain was like, no, we don't go out in the rain. We're going to get wet, and then we're going to have to come in and change our clothes. And it was like, I had a stressful approach to it. And once I started to look at the rain as being fun, we could go jump in puddles, we could get wet. How often do you get wet? I actually started to look for opportunities to go out in the rain because it brought that inner child and it made me feel more playful. So where are some places you can feel more playful? Hugging. Okay, you guys have heard this. 8 hugs a day is what you need to be getting. Are you getting 8 hugs a day? Please be a hugger. Go and hug people. And if you're like, oh, it feels really uncomfortable, hug your pet, which leads me to one of my other things that will raise oxytocin. Go snuggle with a pet. When you go home, do you like sit with your dog and your cat and like actually pet them and snuggle with them and hug them? There's a lot of oxytocin that flows between animals and humans. Okay, this one's awesome. You can go and get a massage, or you can actually give a massage. Both of those interactions will raise oxytocin in your body. So when is the last time you've gone and had a massage or had any body work? When's the last time that you went and had a chiropractic adjustment? That's an incredible burst of oxytocin. So how many opportunities are you putting yourself in to have really cool social interactions with people that involve touch? So, platonic touch, where you're going and you're just putting your hand on someone's shoulder and hugging them and having that bonding through touch. Okay, participate in a community. So what communities are you in? Are you just hanging out at home and watching everything through social media? Or you actually have really cool communities that you can put yourself in? So if you're not familiar with my Resetter tribe, come on into it, because there's a really cool community in there of people that are fasting. We have a really cool community in my Reset Academy of people that are trying to learn strategies around detoxing and the keto diet. So I've really worked in this online world to try to create some community places that you guys can thrive. So if you don't have a place like that, come into mine. It's just a really open and educated and excited group of people in there that want to support you. So just put Resetters in the comments. We'll invite you in. If you want to know more about my academy, put Reset Academy. We'll invite you in there. So, but community is really important. Okay, last couple things. What are you grateful for? Are you thinking about the things around gratitude that light your day up? Are you getting in a tub and soaking in a tub? And here's the last one, I think this one's pretty neat, is what about when you give to others? So it's so interesting to me that when we give to others, so often we're thinking about the benefit of other people, as we should be. But do you know that you actually get a benefit too? That you raise oxytocin by giving to others. So oxytocin is an incredible hormone. Go watch my interview on Resetter TV with Dr. Annika Beck. I love that she brings this to our attention and how we need to focus in on oxytocin. I love how Dr. Weaver brought to our attention we need to lower cortisol. And I want to marry those two principles when we bring them together with a ketogenic diet and fasting to lower insulin. When we work on these three hormones, all of a sudden, these hormones balance. So, as always, I hope that helps. If you know women that are struggling with their hormones, send this out, share this video. Let's get this message out because you can work on herbs, you can do hormone replacement, you can do bioidentical, you can take thyroid medication, you can try to manipulate these hormones. But you're only going to find yourself frustrated if you don't come down here and work with these hormones. So, as always, I hope that helps and go hug somebody. Have an awesome day. Hey, Dr. Mindy here. If you loved this information, subscribe to my channel. I do some really cool things on this channel. Like every Thursday, I do a live for you specifically to answer your questions and make sure that you're always moving your health forward in a really positive direction. So excited to have you here. Subscribe, share it out, and never lose sight of the miracle that you are.